Okay, so now we're going to be listening to another sort of part 2 and part 3 speaking pattern and listening to what this candidate has said and giving some feedback on it. So we're going to be listening along together, and I'm going to be making notes as we go along in terms of pronunciation, grammar, vocabulary, and then fluency, any notes that I'm going along as I'm listening. You should be listening carefully to what the candidate is saying and sort of seeing where I'm picking them up on stuff. Okay, so let's listen and see what they said. The topic is to describe a piece of technology, not computer related, that you like to use. This is actually quite a difficult question because they're not computer related. So I'm kind of like, is a phone computer related? My instinct is, I guess they want me to talk about like my smoothie blender, or maybe like my Hoover. Is that like a technology they want me to talk about? Maybe my Fitbit running watch they want me to talk about. So they want me to say what the technology is, when it was invented. Gosh, I don't know when anything, my Fitbit maybe was invented maybe 10 years ago. I don't know what it's used for. Explain how you feel about it. I always find that the technology questions in IELTS are much more difficult to talk about for me personally, because I'm not a technology person and I don't like technology. So I think this is quite a challenging question. So let's have a look and see what this candidate has said.
A few weeks ago, when I was still a university student, I was taking a historical class, and in that class, I needed to make a presentation about some prominent kings in our country, and I decided to choose King Sejong, so that's why I had to study about him, and I should buy some, like reading materials about him. So I chose to buy that book online. I chose to buy some books about him online. And this is because I didn't want to go to the actual store because I didn't have much time, and I just wanted to solve all the problems at my home, like needless to go to other area. And also I was afraid about coronavirus, so just currently I was staying at home, so it would be more better to buy it online. And I felt that it is very convenient and it's very also efficient to buy some stuff that I want online, because I can save my time and I don't have to make a lot of efforts to buy that. Well, somehow when we go to the actual store, there are some cases that we cannot find the stuff because it could be sold out. So online platform will be probably a better option for me. So from that time, I thought that I needed to use these platforms a lot. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Okay. So let's take a look. In terms of pronunciation, this candidate has very good pronunciation. It sounds like almost a little bit American to me. So my guess would be perhaps that she studied abroad maybe or traveled in America. I'm not sure, but her pronunciation was very good, very clear. She had some nice accent going on there, like slight American pronunciation of words. So I thought that wasn't really a problem. The main issue for me is the sort of hesitation and pausing. She didn't sound confident as she was speaking. And this may sound like, unfair, but in the IELTS, it is a speaking exam. So part of what you can show is confidence. Okay, if you sound comfortable speaking, if you can project some confidence, it actually makes your answer sound better and gives a better impression to the examiner. So this candidate did a lot of sort of pausing, hesitation, and doubling back on herself. So I would suggest that she didn't spend enough time planning out her answer using the task 2 points. I often get students, and especially this comes from students who are quite confident in their spoken English. So often I have students who maybe have lived abroad or studied abroad before, and they get to the part 2 and they don't want to take their full minute to think and plan. And after 10 seconds, they just look at it and go, oh, piece of technology. Okay, I'll start speaking. I'm not saying this is what this candidate has done, but just in my experience with my students, they just sort of jump straight in because they think, oh, this is easy. I just need to talk. And then they suddenly run into this problem where after maybe the first 4 or 5 sentences, they suddenly realize that they didn't actually plan out exactly what they were going to say. And they start running out of ideas. And the same thing would happen to me if I didn't stop and think. It's quite a difficult challenge to speak consistently for 2 minutes. So it's the case of stopping, looking carefully at the questions the examiner's given you. They give you this to help you structure your answer, okay? And deciding what kind of things you're going to say. So the feeling I got from this candidate is that she didn't actually spend time looking and thinking about what she was going to say in her minute time, and just kind of jumped in and then kind of got tangled up and caught when she got a couple of sentences in and suddenly realized that she didn't actually know what she was going to talk about, because it says to describe a piece of technology. But did she actually in her answer describe a piece of technology? Did she say the name of the technology? Did she tell us when it was invented? Did she say, how she feels about it? She was kind of talking about online shopping. I'm guessing was online shopping her technology? In which case I would have said she needed to be more specific. Like, is she talking about Coupang? Is she talking about Gmarket? Like, she should name a specific piece of technology and then say, this is a shopping app that you can use. I used it when I was buying books for my history class. It's even okay to skip questions. Like, if you don't know when it was invented, it would be okay just to skip that and move on to the next question. But the thing is that it was confusing for me to listen to, because she did a lot of talking about like coronavirus and like physical shops versus online shops, but she wasn't really talking about the technology itself. So that was kind of my main issue. And this is would have been my advice to her if she was my student. I would have asked her, did you take 1 minute to sit down and plan what you were going to say? Because it didn't sound like you did. And even if you feel you're quite confident in making stuff up off the top of your head, you got caught out in this instance and it came across as confused. So I always tell my students, in the real IELTS exam, take your minute, and make some notes. Even if you're confident, even if you know exactly what you're going to say, just use that minute to plan it out and it will be so much easier for you. In terms of grammar, there was just a sort of an issue. She's talked about how I should buy some reading materials. But she actually, it wasn't a recommendation. It was something she had to do, right? She had to do it for her class. So it should have been, I had to buy some reading materials. It wasn't a recommendation. She also talked about that it'll be more better to buy online. Okay, so we don't tend to say more and better. So it'll, it should be, it will be, or it'll be better to buy online. She did use some good vocabulary in terms of, she talked about prominent historical figures. And then there was just the issue where she just said she took a historical class. Okay, she took a history class. It should be, okay. But for me, these are kind of sort of minor errors. And my main issue was that her answer was confused and it was difficult for me to follow along how what she was saying related to the question. Okay, now let's take a look at the part 3.
I guess online shopping is the popular thing, one of the most popular things in South Korea when it comes to shopping. Well, this is because of the pandemic situation. From the outbreak of coronavirus, many people started to keep social distance and also started to staying at home. So that's why people prefer to order some products online. And from those phenomena, many orders has been growing so fast in online shopping malls. So that's why online shopping is very popular, and I think online shopping will replace shopping in reality. This is because online shopping is more convenient and efficient in that we don't have to go to the actual area, so we can save our time and money. And also just quickly we can view any products, whatever we want. So it could be more reasonable shopping procedure. So and that's why many people are now thinking that online shopping is an easy way to buy some stuff. And because of that, I guess many actual places like multiplex and shopping malls are now disappearing.
Okay, interesting. So there were some sort of good points about what this candidate was doing. She her pronunciation, very good and very clear. Her grammar was consistent and nice. Again, it was the same issue about the getting off topic and not clearly answering the question. As she was answering, her answer was sort of getting back into sort of online shopping. What was the question? The question was, does technology deeply affect people's life? So the question is asking, what does that mean, deeply affect? What is the relationship like between technology and people's everyday lives? Is it possible for us to live without technology? So when you answer in your part 3 question, you should start by answering the question. What do I mean by that? So you should give your opinions. So sort of a yes, I believe technology does deeply affect people's lives. Okay? Then you launch into your answer. If you're getting higher level, you want to paraphrase. Yes, I do believe technology has a significant impact on people's everyday lives. Okay, that's also a correct answer. Repeat the question back to them in a paraphrase. Okay, then you've clearly told them you're directly answering their question. So I was thinking that there was going to be some kind of answer like, yes, technology does deeply affect people's everyday lives. For example, the phenomenon of online shopping. In South Korea, I don't know anyone who doesn't get shopping ordered to them through Coupang or through Ema or other delivery services. It's so quick and so convenient. And it means that people no longer do regular trips to the grocery store or to physical shops. And it means that people can have things brought to them whenever and wherever they need. And I think that if these services disappeared, I think a lot of people in South Korea would struggle with the inconvenience of going to the store. So it's a deep relationship between technology and everyday life. Everything we do is affected by technology. Like my phone tracks where I go. I'm using it all the time. I never go more than 1 meter away from my phone. So they're looking for an answer like that about the link between the relationship between your life and technology. The other thing that was the issue, this is part 3. Her answer overall was too long. She spoke for about 2 minutes. That's too long for a part 3 answer. And then that sort of, again, takes you into the territory where you're rambling. Okay? I don't know if you know rambling. It means kind of speaking on and on in a sort of slightly confused way. We call that rambling. So I would have wanted to hear a shorter, more concise answer, focused better on the question. That was the issue. As she was getting off topic, she was pausing more because she wasn't really sure what she was saying, or I think she wasn't even sure what she was supposed to be saying. It's possible she didn't quite understand the questions. That was the impression it came across. She also didn't talk about how to teach the older people to use technology. She might once have mentioned older people, but she didn't mention anything in terms of specifics about how to teach older people to use technology, or should we, or anything like that. So she sort of rambled on again about online shopping, but didn't clearly link it to the question. And you could tell that she wasn't sure what she was going to say because she was pausing more. And she was just focusing on why online shopping is getting popular rather than linking it to effect. So that was my main issue with her answer, is it was kind of rambly, off topic, too long, wasn't clear that she directly understood the question. again, I mean, vocabulary, I picked out the word phenomenon that she used. I don't know if I spelled that right. phenomenon, was good, some good vocabulary, but this is her issue. And I was like, I'm not sure if she actually answered the question that she was asked. So in terms of pronunciation, I thought was pretty good. I would want to go 6.5 for that. In terms of vocabulary, it was reasonably good. I would sort of knock her down to a 6 because she did start repeating herself. You know, she said it was a lot of online shopping. It was a lot of convenient, and other words like that, like it's so convenient or quick or easy to use. So I did feel like between the two answers, she was talking about the same topic, but she ended up repeating a lot of the same words. Grammatical range and accuracy, I thought reasonably accurate, just sort of held back by the sort of pauses. You know, the amount of pauses and hesitations she has does sort of make it sound like you're less confident with the grammar. And then in terms of fluency and coherence, I would sort of have to mark her down because I'm not sure she didn't really answer the question. So what's that coming out as? Even though she's sort of quite strong here, I mean, I guess it's coming, to be honest, probably coming out at a 5.5. Just because her answer was too long, rambly, and didn't focus on the question. So the best thing you can do when you're in a part 3 is just literally answer the question in your first sentence. And in the part 2, use these as your guide to answer the question. There's nothing wrong with that. You don't need to get fancy. Just basically answer the question.